Hello everyone, my name is Rock and welcome back to another SH Figuarts review. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Aura Farmer himself, Piccolo, the proud Namekian, the final piece to my Z Fighters collection. This guy has been dodging me left and right every single time, and for some reason, I just never bought him. But finally, I was able to actually find him in my local disc replay, and my god, was I so hyped when I actually saw him. Although he was quite expensive. He was like $75 after tax and everything, which is unfortunate because it is around that price that he goes for. I think I got him a little bit less expensive because it was cheaper. I think it was like 65 because I actually used the coupon there. But unfortunately, he is pre-owned. It is a resealed product, as you can see here. There's two pieces of tape. There's one right here, and then you can see the line going through all the way across. So it has two pieces of tape. So it is not a brand new figure. He doesn't have the plastic, or at least I don't think he has the plastic. Doesn't look like it. So without further ado, let's take this guy out and see if he was worth the wait. Alright, so here we have the man himself, the Aura Farmer, and I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely a used figure, but at the same time, this Piccolo does have its own issues, of course, and I'm gonna point out the most noticeable one, and that's the turban and also the cape and the shoulder pads being completely separate colors. So this is just pure, like, bluish white. It has a tint of blue in it, and this is just gray. This is like actually just a gray color. Now, I don't know if this is how he originally came like, but of course I wouldn't know because I didn't get him in the past. I didn't get like the original release or anything like that. But this is technically my fourth Piccolo figure. So I have the first one that I got was the Superhero Piccolo. The second one was Orange Piccolo, and then the third one was Mini Piccolo. I would have already had the adult Daima Piccolo if tariffs didn't hit and a lot of the Japanese import sites did not stop shipping out stuff to the US, unfortunately. So I'm actually happy that I actually was able to find this guy in the wild because he was sold out on Amazon and he was like 80 bucks and I did not want to pay 80 bucks. So I'm glad I got him for 65. But aesthetically speaking, besides just the turban and the cape itself being completely different colors, he looks nice. There doesn't seem to be any paint issues whatsoever. There is, of course, just the molded plastic for the body itself, the waistband and everything. He looks nice. It is a nice looking Piccolo so far. So yeah, now the biggest issue that a lot of people have with this Piccolo is that he's technically wearing lipstick, and I can definitely see where you're coming from, but it's not as bad as it seems on hand. Like, yeah, the pictures don't actually show him with this much red in his mouth, which is definitely interesting as to why they actually painted it. I understand that they want to show the mouth itself, but they could have just not done it, which would have been a much better thing to do. So something you could do, you can use some rubbing alcohol to get rid of that. Just make sure to not hit the eyes whatsoever because that could potentially cause your eyes to fade away. So yeah. Now, for the articulation, as we all are familiar with, Piccolo can't really, well, he can look down a little bit because he does have a little bit of space there. So he can look down pretty decently. Looking up also pretty good. Not too shabby to say the least. It is a ball hinge. He can look side to side even with the cape on, which is awesome. And then pivoting is not so much because of that hinge. Now, we are going to have to get rid of the cape itself, at least for now, because it does restrict a little bit of articulation. He does have the neck joint that allows him to move however you want, so you will have a lot or plenty of neck movement there, which is awesome. So plenty of neck movement. So that is very good. Now, for the arms, he can definitely get to a T-pose, which is something that is pretty common with this figure. Rotate 360 degrees. Their butterfly joints actually work decently well. Now, this is something that I actually really do like, is that the arms do pop out pretty easily. Now, you may be wondering, why would that be a good thing? Because that usually just causes issues. So, you can see here, actually pretty good butterfly joints. Not the best looking, of course, because they look just chopped all throughout hell and everything. But you actually are able to get his arms across all the way, which is awesome. So, then we have, as I was saying, you can pop out his arms pretty easily, like without any force whatsoever. And I'm glad that they designed it like this. Now, it might be a thing where it's like the person was swapping out the crossed arms and then just regular arms very often, so they just like are now much looser than they need to be. But I actually like it because even just by tucking on them, you don't get them off. You actually have to hold the shoulder and then you can pop them out, which is really nice because that means that you're going to be able to change the arms with ease. For the ab crunch, you actually get a decent ab crunch going all the way forward. And then backwards, he does get much movement because that's how Bandai did it, or still does it in some areas. For the legs, he does get the splits, perfect splits, which is really nice. Kicking forward, a little bit better than 90 degrees, which is great. Kicking backwards, better than 90 degrees, that's for sure. Rotation at the waist, which is nice. And also just pivoting action as well, because he has a double ball peg right there, which is nice. Thigh swivel, double jointed knee, and a foot, not hinge, but a foot peg. So his feet are on peg, which you can move around however you want, and a foot hinge that actually looks really good. So aesthetically and articulation-wise, he actually does have pretty good aesthetics. Of course, the cape being a different color is not really the greatest, so that is one of the bigger issues. Let me actually get his cape back on here real quick, because I do want to have him aura farm throughout this entire video. Of course, this guy is somewhat old at this point. They did just reissue him earlier this year or late last year. I don't necessarily remember, but he has been somewhat available for a while now. And he's not as expensive as he was previously. Well, to be fair, he wasn't really expensive ever before. It's just that he was going up in the aftermarket until they released the reissue. So now let's take a look at the accessories, because this guy actually comes with a decent amount. So let's take a look at those real quick. Alright, again, Piccolo does come with a really decent amount of accessories, which is really, really nice. Of course, he does come with his Aura Farmer cross hands, or crossed arms, which, again, are nicely painted. They have some scuffs here and there, of course, and they are the old ones where you can't, like, detach them together, or separate, and then you just have to put them in the shoulders. Maybe in the future we can actually get an updated Piccolo, not the diamond one, because that one is technically like the newer one, and theoretically you could swap him out with this Piccolo, but he doesn't have the same aesthetic as the previous figures, so it's going to be a little bit harder to do that. Now, for the turban, we actually do have a separate head sculpt where he's looking to the side with his giant blocky head, and then you can see there's a little bit of an issue with the nose at the very front. Actually, no, it's not an issue, it's just the glare. He's really shiny at the top of the nose, but it's very nicely painted and everything. And then we have 3 different head sculpts, where one of them he's shooting the special beam cannon, another one where he's charging it, as you can see. And of course they both have the veins, and then a veinless regular Namekian pose, again with the lipstick on. So we also have a cut-off arm that he got when he fought Raditz. This is supposed to be for the left arm, as you can see. You're supposed to swap out the whole arm to put this on, which is nice. The little accessory on the back, or that goes on the back for you to swap him out of his clothes. And then 2 different peg accessories where you can actually attach them if you want to have them like really close with the peg or really far away. So those are really nice accessories to actually include. We have the special beam cannon hand, 2 key blast hands, and 2 fighting stands or fighting pose hands, which is really nice. So yeah, that's all the accessories that he comes with. Now, going into my final thoughts, is this figure worth it? First, I'm going to give you my score. Honestly, the score for this figure is going to be pretty high. I'm going to give this figure a 9 out of 10. Now, the reason why I'm giving it such a high score is because he is still a really good figure. I always thought that Piccolo was, in terms of like just the body sculpt and how he functioned, he worked a lot better than like your average 2.0 Goku or your 2.0 Vegeta. Usually because the flaps on his hips don't necessarily like limit or inhibit any of the articulation, which is awesome. And then he actually does have butterfly joints that allow him to cross his arms fully. And they used this guy with the original, with the, not the original, but the superhero Piccolo as well. So it is it's a decent figure. That Piccolo is really good. This Piccolo is really good because he comes with all the accessories. If you wanted to, if you like the aesthetic of the superhero Piccolo more, especially since he does have better head sculpts in terms of like just, again, the lips, you can swap these parts out and put him with these parts on that figure if you wanted to, because he also has the same compartment behind it on the back. Just pop it out and then you should be able to swap them. Them adding pieces for him to like fly and just use a stand to fly, that's really nice. I like that addition. Hopefully they can actually do that for other figures, but I digress. So again, it's a really nice figure. He doesn't look the greatest, like very close. Of course, the different whites are definitely an issue. It is important to keep in mind that an updated Piccolo could definitely come in maybe in the next couple of years. Not months, maybe years. But yeah, that's pretty much all the time I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about the Aura Farmer himself, because I really like it. And I'm finally glad that this figure finally completed my Dragon Ball Z intro collection, because that's literally where he's going. I'm going to put his crossed arms, and he's going to go right into Aura Farming for the intro. But besides that, like and subscribe and all that sort of jazz, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.